Well, as we mentioned last week on this show, Penny Wong, Australia's foreign minister, has decided to recommence the funding of UNRWA, the widely discredited United Nations Relief and Works Agency. Writing in The Spectator Australia this week, David Adler from the Australian Jewish Association says that giving money to UNRWA is a serious betrayal of Australian Jews. He says that Labor is actively undermining Israel's strategy and that Labor is, quote, indirectly funding murderers, kidnappers and rapists. And that, quote, it is not an exaggeration to say that funding UNRWA is a policy dripping with blood, and Wong has her hands all over it, end of quote. So too, by extension, to the Teals, who only a few days earlier had all signed, here it is, yes, this bit of paper, signed the bit of paper, the disgraceful letter. Everyone's favourite Teal, Allegra Spender, there she is, that's her signature right here. You've got Kate Cheney from Perth, she signed it. Monique Ryan, Zali Stegel, Zoe Daniels, Sophie Scamps, Kylie Tink. Yes, here they all are, the hands that signed this bit of paper. What a joke. Supposedly compassionate and caring women, all sitting on the crossbenches. Here it is, there are all the signatures, representing some of the wokest electorates in Australia, urging your tax dollars to be handed over by the millions to UNRWA, an organisation with proven links to Hamas and the perpetrators of the rapes, murders and defiling of women and children and the barbaric atrocities of October 7th. Indeed, this week it was revealed by former UNRWA official Ahmed Wadat that terrorist boss, the terrorist boss of Hamas, Ismail Haniyeh, one of the masterminds behind October 7th, once worked as a teacher for UNRWA. Take that in. Yes, one of the masterminds behind October 7th once worked as a teacher for UNRWA, according to this report. And he is now a multi-billionaire terrorist living in luxury in Qatar. Further proof that, in my opinion, Labor and the Teals, by signing this letter, are no friends of Israel. But don't take my word for it. Let's ask another crossbencher. Baroness Ruth Deach is a crossbench life peer who sits in the House of Lords at Westminster. She is a renowned academic, lawyer and bioethicist. She was the former principal of St Anne's College in Oxford. She chaired the Human Fertilisation Embryology Authority. Ruth Deach's parents, incidentally, fled the Nazis from Poland and arrived in Britain the very day the Allies declared war on Nazi Germany. If Penny Wong or Allegra Spender or Monique Ryan or Kate Cheney or any of the other Teals or Labor MPs were to sit down with Baroness Deach, they'd bothered to, this is what she would tell them about the organisation they are so keen to offer Australian tax dollars to, UNRWA.
UNRWA is the problem, not the solution. It hasn't resettled a single person since 1948. Whereas the United Nations High Commission for Refugees, which deals with everybody else, with fewer personnel, far less funding, has resettled 50 million people. UNRWA's mission is not to help people, but to perpetuate a political conflict. UNRWA keeps the so-called refugees in a state of misery until they can return to Israeli territory. That would mean the destruction of Israel and the obliteration of its 7 million Jews.
So did you get that? Penny Wong, Allegra, Sophie, Kate, Monique, Kylie, Zoe, Zali. Did you get that? Shall I repeat it for you? According to Baroness Deach in the UK House of Lords, the organisation you are so prepared to send funding to, UNRWA, quote, perpetuates the conflict. And its stated goals would, again, according to Baroness Deach, mean the destruction of Israel and the obliteration of its 7 million Jews. That, dear ladies, is the organisation you have signed up to, or us, our taxpayers, up to, by urging the restoration of funding using our tax dollars. Feeling uncomfortable, ladies? No? Well, the Baroness is only just warming up.
The only way to resettle refugees and bring peace is to abolish UNRWA and transfer its functions to the UNHCR, albeit that the iniquitous effects it has created will unfortunately last. That is, UNRWA has poisoned the mind of future generations in the way it has taught Palestinian children to hate, to believe lies about Israel. It's given make-believe employment to thousands of Palestinians. It continues the myth that there are millions of Palestinian refugees who are in fact not Palestinian and not refugees. And it is a bottomless pit into which countries pour money, not only with no return, but money that has been used to murder and take hostages and starve ordinary Palestinians of the necessaries of life.
Got that, girls? Got that, Penny? UNRWA is the problem, not the solution. There are far better alternatives to UNRWA, but it appears none of you even bothered to do your research. Shame on you. Too busy monitoring your solar panels in your beachside electorates, I suspect. Too busy rushing around virtue signalling about electric vehicle charging stations, no doubt. Here's a bit more of what the Baroness had to say about where money sent to UNRWA actually ends up.
It is noteworthy that the rich Arab countries that surround Israel, they do not reach out to support their Palestinian brethren. The major donors to UNRWA are the US, followed by Germany and then the UK. Where has the money gone? Now we know, thanks to the investigative work of journalist John Ware, that the money has gone directly to Hamas to build tunnels, secure armaments, and keep Hamas leaders in luxury. The ordinary poverty-stricken Palestinian has seen none of it, and the states who give money are curiously reluctant to follow through to see where their dollars are going. UNRWA has no financial control, no audit. It has mismanagement, sexual misconduct and nepotism. Its construction works are a protectionist racket.
So there's the challenge, ladies. Have any of you teals bothered to follow through to see where our money is going at your request? I'll await your reply. Perhaps you could all sign an audit, like this letter you were all so keen to sign. You could all go off and sign an audit of UNRWA's finances and send it to the hard-working taxpayers, many of them Jewish, in your Teal electorates, after you've confirmed where all the money has gone.
UNRWA employees were undoubtedly involved in the horrific attacks on Israel on the 7th of October. Some were members of Hamas or Islamic Jihad. At least another 1,000 employees have ties with Hamas. Even more of them have praised the 7th of October attacks and expressed anti-Semitism and praised terrorism. Their teachers teach children to glorify violence against Israel and to deny Israel's legitimacy. UNRWA teachers call for murder of Jews and martyrdom. They call for the right of return into Israel itself by violence. All this has been known for years and nothing has been done. It is the continued existence of UNRWA that fuels terrorism, twists the mind of future generations and perpetuates the refugee illusion rather than putting an end to it. The remains of UNRWA should be folded into the United Nations High Commissioner for Refugees. This latter body serves all other refugees with a budget of about $9 million. The end of UNRWA would be the beginning of peace.
Hallelujah. I have been warning about UNRWA, myself and others, on this show for years. And in The Spectator Australia, we were the first mainstream media to demand Australia stop funding this mob. So don't say you didn't know. Now, this letter to Penny Wong also says, quote, from the Teals, it is critical that Australian aid does not ever fund or indirectly support terrorists. Good. And that those responsible for the horrific attacks on October 7th are brought to justice. Absolutely. It then goes on, a letter, about recognising the need to balance two legitimate concerns: ensuring our aid does not support terrorism while supporting Palestinian civilians in a dire humanitarian situation. They also say, the Teals, They believe that it is critical that either an alternative pathway is found to deliver urgent aid or that the government provides immediate clear directions as to what actions UNRWA can feasibly take in order that funding can be restored, etc. Fine words, but they don't mean anything, because the restoration of funding to UNRWA by Penny Wong has now taken place. It took place almost immediately after this letter, after you all signed this letter, without the problems being solved. Listen to Baroness Deach. The bottom line is we are sending Australian tax dollars to an organisation with proven links to October 7th and an organisation that is the problem, not the solution. An organisation that, in her words, perpetuates the conflict. How hard would it have been just to do a little bit of research?